Hello there, programmers, and welcome back to another episode in our Python tutorial series. Today we're going to be diving into a little bit more of an advanced Python feature known as decorators, and we're going to try and demystify these a little bit. They're kind of one of those magic features that people just know are there, but don't really understand how they work under the hood. So hopefully after today you'll have a much better understanding of what a decorator is and why it works. So let's start with talking about functions. So in Python, we define functions and we can use them all over the place. So let's start with a really basic function that we all know how to use. So we're going to say define hello, and we're going to just have this print out hello world. Okay, so this is the very first thing you usually write when you're learning a new language, okay? So this is a function, and we know this. And if we do if dunder name equals dunder main here, and we execute this, now what we can do is we can run this function and see what we get out. And what we get out is what we expect. Hello world. Okay? So let's get rid of the little one in there. So here we go. Hello world. Basic application, right? But if we want to start talking about decorators, what we have to understand is that in the world of Python, okay, a function is actually a first-class citizen. What that means is that I can run this here. I can say print, and I can say hello. No parentheses, nothing special like this. Now, if I run this, what you'll see is this very not so pretty description of the function itself. That's because the functions themselves are actually addressable objects in the world of Python. All right? Hopefully that makes sense here. What we can do now is we can say hello dot, and then we can get the dunder name of this hello. And when we run this, you'll now see we are getting the name of this function. Understanding that functions are now something I can pass into other functions, this should help you understand what a wrapper is. So let's look and actually create a wrapper now. Okay? So let's say we're going to say log. We're going to create a new wrapper called log, a new decorator called log. Okay? And what we have to do to define this is we have to say, what are we passing into it? In this case, we're passing a function into log. All right. And then inside, this is where people get a little bit lost. We're going to create an nested function. Okay. So we're going to define a function inside of our function. All right. So if we do this, this is our wrapper function, and this is the thing that actually wraps our outside function. Now in here we can do whatever we need to do. So we're gonna log the fact that we just ran this function. I'm gonna use an f string here, and I'm gonna say running, and then I'm gonna pass in func.dunder name. Okay, so this right here, exactly what I did up here, down here in the main. So I'm gonna remove this, and now I'm gonna say print f running func underscore name. Okay? Then to finish this off, I have to actually call the function that I intended to wrap, and then come back one level and return the wrapper. Okay, now what is this doing? We're creating an internal function. Inside of this function, we're calling the wrapped function, and we're also doing something before we call that. And then we're returning this whole thing. So we're now returning a function out. So what does this actually look like? Okay, let me come down here and say, after we've defined hello, we're going to say hello is actually equal, hello is equal to log with hello as the argument. Okay? So if I do this right here, I have to do two spaces. There we go. Two spaces before, two spaces after. So what we're doing is we're overwriting our definition of hello, and we're replacing it with this wrapped function, log hello. Okay? So if I run this, you'll now see down here, we are running hello. So we are running hello, and then we call hello world. All right, hopefully that's not super confusing. So this is a really, really, really basic wrapper function, okay? But this is a common pattern. This is something we do a lot. And so what we want to do now is we want to create an easier way, and Python has, for us to actually represent this pattern. So now what I can do is I can define another function. So we're going to say hello to. And this is going to do the same thing. We're going to print, and we're going to say hello to. All right? And at the beginning here, instead of doing this right here where we replace the definition, what we're going to do is we're going to use the decorator syntax. So we're going to say at log. And that's it. What this decorator syntax does is it says exactly this line. Replace hello to with log wrapping hello to. That's it. That's all this decorator syntax is doing here. So now if I come down here into our main function and I call hello to, and I actually execute this, you'll now see two things being printed out here. Okay? You'll now see running hello, hello world, exactly like we had before, but now you'll also see running hello to and hello to. You can see this does exactly the same thing as our previous. Okay? So now we have a wrapped hello, we have a non-wrapped hello. Okay, here's where things start to get a little bit tricky, because what we're doing is we're using a wrapper inside of here. Okay? So what happens if inside I want to investigate what's happening inside of my code, and I attach a debugger? Okay? So what am I going to see when I attach a debugger? Well, let's go ahead and see what we're going to see, because I think you'll be a little bit surprised. We're going to go ahead and print, and what we're going to print here is another F string, and in this F string we're going to say hello thinks it is, and then we're going to pass in hello dot underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Okay? So dunder name of hello. This is what hello thinks it is. Let's copy this entire line. Let's do the same thing for hello to. Okay? Hello to, hello to. There we go. Now let's run this. You're going to see these are going to be the first things that print out at the top of the file now. When I execute this, you'll see hello thinks it is wrapper. And hello to thinks it is wrapper. What is happening here? Okay. This right here is a function that we are defining, and we are returning this as part of the wrapper, as part of this log decorator. So we are returning the function wrapper up, and now hello thinks it's the result of this return, which in this case is wrapper. It thinks it is this internal function. And it's really confusing if you use this and you actually go and try and figure out what's happening inside of my code, and you're using decorators, and they work this way. Luckily, there is a solution for this. Okay, so we're gonna do an import here at the top. We're gonna import func tools. Okay, these are our function tools. It's a standard library that comes with Python exactly for this purpose. So after here, let's come down after these print statements, and let's create a new wrapper. So we're gonna do the same thing we did above. We're gonna have a log wrap, and now we're gonna pass in func. And so we're giving this a new name, and now we're gonna say at func tools dot wraps func, and that right there is the secret sauce. What this is going to do is this is going to allow us to say we can define our wrapper exactly as we did above. So we can actually just steal this code right here, bring it down, and at this point just paste this in. Okay, so now we are saying functools.wraps func, and we're going to do exactly the same thing running so we can do this running. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now we can create a new function, and we're going to say define, and we're going to say wrapped hello. Okay, And all this is going to do is print hello from wrapper. If I could spell today, this would be fantastic. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Okay, well, let's also use the log wrap as the decorator. Okay. Oh, function name should be lowercase. You are correct. Thank you, PyCharm, for catching my terrible formatting. Okay, so we now have a wrapped hello. So let's call this and let's see what happens. Let's comment out our first two hello and hello 2. Okay, and now we're going to call wrapped hello. Let's execute this and see what happens. Okay. So when we do this, hello. So we still have the prints happening up here. Okay. So we're calling hello from wrapper, and now if I take this print up here, and I copy this down after wrapped hello, I can say wrapped hello thinks it is, and now we'll execute this and we'll see what it thinks it is. So wrapped hello thinks it is wrapped hello. So using this functools.wrap, that's great. That's wonderful. Okay. But let's change it a little bit more. Okay. Let's get rid of this. Or let's just use the same line here so that we're not continuing to scroll for infinity. Let's use the same wrapped hello. Okay. Let's replace wrapped hello, and let's replace it with something that's a little more common. We're going to say hello name, and I'm going to pass in a name. And I want to say hello, and I want to replace this with an F string, and let's do name inside of here. All right, what do we think is going to happen? So I'm going to say hello name. I'm going to replace this here, hello name, okay? So we're replacing wrapped hello with hello name, and then we're going to call hello name down here with my name. So what is my name? My name is Chris Franklin. There we go. Let's do Chris. Let's say hello, Chris. All right. Do we think this is going to work? I know the answer. No, it's not. Why is it not going to work? Because wrapper takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. Here we go. We're passing in an argument, and our wrapper expects nothing. How do we fix this? Well, we could fix this by actually passing in, let's pass in the name, and then we'll pass that down to the function. But now, this decorator will only work for this function. So is there a more general way to do this? What we can do is we can say args and ... kw args. Okay? If we pass this in, and then we pass those in here, and we save this, let's go ahead and run it. Okay, so what we can see here is now this wrapper has been called, and we see running hello name. So we know that hello name thinks it is hello name, and we can see that this all worked as we expected it to, all because we're using functools here. Okay? And now we can see that the arguments are being passed properly. So we can see hello Chris showing up, because now we've pass the argument straight through. So we're using the star args and star kw args to pass all of the arguments straight through to the underlying function. All right. So that's the high level. That's a quick rundown of actual decorators, but that's not very helpful. So what I want to do now is I want to look at a couple of closer to real-world examples. They may not be exactly real-world examples, but they're going to be pretty close. One of them I've used myself, and the other is one that has been used in a number of libraries. So let's go ahead and look at some real-world examples here, okay? So let's do a hash here and call this our real-world examples, okay? So here we go. Now this first one is one that's pretty common. As I'm running code, sometimes I just need to know how fast is this function that I'm running. And so one way we can do that is we can define a decorator to wrap our function. So we can create our timer function here. So we'll do that, timer, and we'll call this func, okay? And inside of here, we're going to do exactly what we did above. We're going to say functools dot wraps, and we're going to wrap the function that gets called here, and then we're going to define our wrapper, okay? As a note, this can actually be anything. You don't have to call this wrapper. I just do. That's what I've always called it. So, oops, I put a colon there at the end of that. Didn't mean to. Yeah, so I've always called it wrapper. You can call it wrapper underscore timer. You can call it timer underscore wrapper. You can call it W, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. It's just an internally defined function. But I like to make it really clear what's happening in here. This is my wrapper. Okay. So star args star kw args. Okay. So let's pass these through. And then inside of here, what we're going to do is, oh, we need time. Yeah. Let's actually import the thing we need here to make this work. There's a couple of libraries you could bring in. I prefer to use time for this just because it's quick and easy. We could use timeit as well, which we could use to actually run multiple iterations of the function and see what happened. But let's just use time. We'll make it really simple for this example. And then inside of here, we need start equals time.perfCounter. So we're going to do our performance counter. Okay. And then something I didn't show you above, and that's super useful, is this right here. Our wrapper for log wrap is assuming that we have no return function, no return value for this function. So we don't in this case, but if we did, we need to return it. So this is a trick for doing that. So we can say our value is equal to func, and we're going to call star args star kw args. Okay, so we're setting the value from this function. So we're grabbing the value here, and then what we need to do is calculate our end time. So time.perfCounter is our end value, and then our run is going to be equal to end minus start. Okay, so our runtime is equal to end time minus start time, and then all we have to do here is print out an f string that says, let's do func dot dunder name run time was, and then run, and let's make this 0.6 floating points, so up to 6 decimal places in floating points, so we can see exactly how fast this run. Seconds. Okay, something like that. Looks good. Great. And then the last thing we have to do is return the value. Okay. Once we've done that, we return our wrapper, and now we can actually use this. Okay. Oh, okay. Here's a good example. So we're gonna use our timer, and we're gonna say define sum in times, and we're gonna do in times. Okay. So let's just use the built-in sum function. We're gonna run through it for underscore in range in times. So we're gonna run this function in times, and we're gonna calculate the sum in times in a row. This will be great because we can actually use this in our next example. So we're gonna do sum. We're gonna do our fancy little iterable format here for I in range. Let's go 100,000 times. There we go. Okay. Really simple function here. Let's go ahead down here and run this. Sum in times. Okay. And how many times do we want to sum this? I don't know. One time. Let's do one time. Let's see how fast it is just to run through it one time. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this function one time, but we're going to, inside of here, we're going to sum the squares up to 100,000. Okay. So we're going to create a sum of all the squares up to 100,000. Pretty simple, straightforward function. Really good to show an example. And now we can see sum in times runtime was 0.050890 seconds. Which is pretty fast. Okay. We could run this again. We could run it 10 times. We could see how fast it is after we run it 10 times. It's 0.4 seconds. Okay, so you can get an idea of how fast this function is taking to run. That's great. But we can make this even simpler, I think. I think we can do a lot here, okay? So what should we do? I think we should take now and create another another decorator. And this is a case, so we've seen so far how to use decorators, and we've seen how to define them so that they don't change the name of the function, and so that they take the arguments in from the function. But what about if we want to pass arguments to our decorator? Is that possible to do? And the answer is yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take what we just defined above. I want to create a decorator that takes this in times argument and actually wraps it in this for_in range. So how are we going to do that? Pretty straightforward. Now we're going to create a decorator function around our wrapper function. And so what we can do is we can say define, and we're going to say this is our run in times decorator, and we want to pass in times. We can give it a type hint here so that it knows this is always going to be an integer. It'll throw an error if it's not. Okay, so we know this has to be run an n number of times, and then we're going to define our decorator function. Okay, so this starting at this point, this becomes exactly like this level here. So we're wrapping this level in another level so that we create so we can pass in arguments. Okay, and so each wrapper layer passes in another argument. So at this point we can say at functools dot wraps, and we can pass in our function. Okay, oh no colon at the end there. All right, and then we can define our wrapper exactly as we've done above with our star args and our star kw args. Okay, and at this point, this is where we say for_in range, and we say the range is the number of times. Then we call our function, whatever got passed in, with our arguments. And then inside of here, we want to come back to return wrapper. Oops. And return decorator. All right, not the raw functions themselves, not executed. Okay, so there we go. That's pretty simple. So this is how we can start to build more and more complicated decorators that we use. An example where something like this is done is inside of the Flask library. If you've used Flask, you've probably defined your top level Flask application as an object, and then you've used something that looks like this, where you say at app.route, and then you pass in a route, and then you define your function, something like that. This right here is basically this. That's all they're doing inside. This top level is route, and they're taking in a string, and then inside they're performing actions on that string, and they're defining a dictionary with your routes in it, and then they're looking up the route based off of what actually comes in and the method that's being called. And so that's all they're doing. They're using these wrappers to build a dictionary of all the routes. So when something comes into the HTTP server, it takes that, reads it, strips off the method, and it strips off the route name, and it looks it up in the dictionary, and then executes the function that you've defined there. Pretty clever the way that they've actually done this. So let's actually run. Let's do this. All right. That was a little aside here. Now we're going to use two decorators here. I'm going to use timer. I want to see how long this runs, and I want to say run in times, and I'm going to define a new function. So we're going to call this sum in. Oop. Hitting buttons. Sum in, and we're going to call this. We're going to pass in. I want to calculate this many times, and then all I'm going to do is call exactly what I called above, where I say I **2 for I in range of n. Okay, so I'm taking sum n times. We'll figure out what is the I squared sum for I up to n. Okay. I should probably use actual names here, but you know. Okay, so let's call this and see what happens here. Sum underscore n, and we'll call this 1,000 times. Let's see how long this takes to run. I'm curious. All right, run, and now we can see decorator runtime was 0.00027 seconds. Okay. So what did we miss? Oh, that's right. That's right. We need this guy right here. Is only going to return what's calling it. So the decorator is the thing calling it here. I wonder, can we fix this? Let's play a little bit here. Let's see what we can do. I don't know. No, I don't think we can. I have no idea how to fix that. That's a fun problem to have. So, there's gotta be a clever way to fix this. Okay, well that's a lesson for another time, I guess. We're already at 25 minutes. This is a pretty long tutorial in my series here. So, this has been fun. Hopefully you understand decorators a lot more than you did at the start, and you can start to create some of these more complicated decorators. I'll have to figure out how to fix this problem, and I'll create another tutorial lesson on it, and that'll be another fun one for us to jump in together. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you have any questions, please feel free to post it in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button down below. Tell YouTube that you enjoyed this. You've watched for 27 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.